Hello, just Jean talking. I am Jean, registered nurse and maternal child health family planning nurse practitioner. So my job is to translate information regarding health, hygiene, and systems of the body in plain English. So today I would like to talk to you about hypertension. Hypertension is something that we're all very familiar with. As somebody in our family or our own person has dealt with hypertension. So in order to talk about hypertension, you need to have a little bit of knowledge about the circulatory system. The circulatory system consists of the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood. So the heart is a muscular organ that's center chest, slightly to the left, and is protected by the rib cage. Now the heart has 4 chambers. 2 of the chambers receive blood, 2 of the chambers send blood out. Now, the heart contracts and relaxes, and that's how it pushes blood along the line of the vessels to get the blood to every area of the body. Remember I told you that all cells have specialized work that they do. And in order to do that, they need the food, the water, the nutrients, everything that's passed along through the blood. Remember I told you that the small intestine absorbs what it needs. So that the food that it absorbs goes into the bloodstream. And the blood carries everything that the cells need all along that highway. The vessels are the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries. The arteries are the vessels that carry oxygenated blood away from the heart and to all the areas of the body. The veins carry the blood that has already been used, has been depleted of the oxygen and the nutrients and everything that it had, and it takes it back to the heart. So you see blood that's flowing in the arteries is bright red. So if you got a cut and it's an arterial cut, that blood is bright red and it's pulsing. That means it's coming right directly from the heart. The vein that's going back up to the lungs and the heart is dark blood because it doesn't have that oxygen, which makes it nice and red. So it's moving slower, it's not pulsing, it's just moving along without any help with that pulsing heart. And then the capillaries are the very tiny vessels at the end of the line. So as the blood travels, the blood is the actual train that's carrying everything. Got it? The artery is a superhighway, and the blood is actually carrying all of the nutrients, water, etc., to the parts of the body. Under ideal circumstances, the blood leaves the heart and it travels along the superhighway without obstruction. The tension along the way of the vessels is negligible because everything is wide open. Everything is moving. Think about a water hose. When you first buy a new water hose, it's real soft and supple. You can wrap it around that little storage thing that we use. And when you turn the faucet on, that would be the heart. When you turn the faucet on, everything shoots right through there, unobstructed. So what if somebody comes and puts their foot on the hose? Now you have a situation where you've got pressure building up in that hose because as it comes out of that faucet, it's not able to move freely the way it wants to. So now you get a little pressure, tension against the walls because that blood has less space because you got a blockage down there. So since there's less space, there's a buildup of pressure. That tension against the wall of the artery is your blood pressure. So as it's flowing along freely and no problems, you end up with a blood pressure of 110/60. Everything's cool. Now, all of a sudden, you get the situation of someone not stepping on the blood vessel, but there's an obstruction. As the blood is flowing through the artery, now we get to a place where there's a lane closure. Something's going on at this particular spot where now, instead of the blood going straight through, it has to slow down a little bit right here due to this lane closure. Then it got a few potholes, things building up there in the system. Now you got pressure on this blood coming from the heart, not able to shoot through the way it wants to, tension against the walls of the vessels. That tension equates to your blood pressure. It's the heart pumping and relaxing, trying to get that blood through, tension building up because there's an obstruction causing pressure back here to build up against those walls. So, how do people get hypertension? Don't know, but there are some contributing factors. Number one is your lifestyle. If you are eating a lot of foods that are not good for you, a lot of fats, a lot of pork, a lot of red meat, you're causing difficulties in your body. You're causing situations where the body can't really digest all this stuff. It doesn't need it all. So what it does, it says, well, we'll either excrete it or we will store some of it, especially that fat. We might not need it today, but we might need it next week. So put it in the refrigerator. So what happens is that fat goes onto your hips, your thighs, your back. I've never seen so many fat backs lately. So it's storing it just in case it may need it. Well, while it's storing it on your hips and thighs, it's also storing inside those blood vessels. And you got a buildup of what they call plaque that's going on inside the vessel. So as these plaque formations form along these blood vessels, it's causing a narrowing, it's causing less elasticity. As we age, the natural progression of things causes those vessels to not be as supple and soft and flexible as they used to be, just like that old water hose that's 3 or 4 years old. It's not the same as it was when it was new. So, lifestyle, exercise. If you exercise, you're burning up some of this fat and it's not getting to be stored, and it's not getting so much incidence of plaque being stored in your blood vessels. It's your smoking, your drinking, all of these things that contribute to the fact that these blood vessels are not as wide open as they used to be, and there's tension built up inside those vessels. What are the symptoms? Well, they call it the silent killer because sometimes there are no symptoms. Occasionally people get headaches. If their blood pressure gets high, they'll get a little headache. They may feel a little dizziness, a little like they feel like they want to faint. Different little symptoms that come about, but you don't necessarily have to have really noticeable symptoms. For example, they told Tina Turner way back in 1978 or something like that she had hypertension, but she didn't really pay much attention to it. And fast forward 25, 30 years from then she ended up with stroke and all the issues that she had. One of the main problems that happens with hypertension is in the kidneys. When that blood, everything that goes through the body, all that blood has to go by the kidneys. And the kidneys has to decide, okay, we're going to excrete this much stuff. We don't need this, we don't need this, we don't need this. So if those tubules in the kidney are destroyed due to this hypertension situation, now you got a situation where your kidneys are not able to perform their normal function, which is excreting all the nasty stuff from your body. And these folks may end up having to have dialysis to take over and do the work of the kidneys for the kidney. So it's a serious situation, and many times when the blood pressure gets so elevated, and you got all this plaque built up, sometimes clots form due to the fibrous nature of the blood, and as it starts to slow down and get static, those clots form. Every now and then those clots will not just stay right there and obstruct the blood, but they can sometimes get into the system and start traveling. If a clot travels to the muscle of the heart, now you got a heart attack. If it travels to the brain, you got a stroke. Sometimes a clot can go to the lungs, and you got a pulmonary embolism. So, sometimes the situation gets to be so bad that the heart can't even nourish its own person. It can't even get enough oxygen and blood for its own well-being. And in that case, you can actually get a death of some of the heart muscle, a failure of some of the heart muscle. So these situations can be life-threatening. So, it starts out like something like simply your blood pressure is elevated a little bit, but it can go on to be life-threatening and certainly life-compromising, because when you get to the point where your life is so bad, you're feeling so bad, you don't want to eat, you don't have any energy, your kidneys are not working well. Hey, your lifestyle is not worth very much. So it's best to stay on top of things, keep a good lifestyle, keep your doctor visits, ask questions, jot down things, symptoms that you have, jot down so when you get to the doctor's office, you have a well-composed story that you can tell them. That way they can help you more if you can tell them a good story. So, that's the situation. I hope that I made it clear, and I would like you to subscribe and share and like and help a sister out. Thanks.